right? And but it was really special to have you to be a part of it, seriously, and just to really open it up. Like, you're like my Pee Wee Marquette, man. You know, it's like a hip update. You know, Blakey had Pee Wee. I've got Micah Robinson, man.
Yeah,
so.
It was an honor to be a part, man. It's, you know, separate from our friendship, honestly, I think just the concept of what you were doing with the album is something that's kind of so in line with who I am as a person, as an artist anyway. So I think if we didn't know each other and you sent me an email, like, mapping out the concept, I still would have been like, oh, absolutely. You know, the idea of just even the title, you know, and how it goes is love is a song that anyone can sing, you know, which is, from my understanding, has the purpose of kind of being a unifying thing, you know, to people who hear it, and kind of introducing the idea that we can have different perspectives that still acknowledge the value of each one, you know. And I think your ability to put what could be like an hour-long speech or sermon or whatever, you know, into a few interludes and to capture that concept musically was actually pretty genius.
Oh, man,
so
thanks.
I'm truly honored to be a part of it.
Appreciate it, for sure. No, it worked out really well. And that, yeah, this whole thing, you know, that I think you identify with and that I identify with in terms of your hashtag campaign for your release, which was Who is Micah Robinson?
Who is Micah Robinson?
And explain what is the rationale behind that. I'll let you do that.
The rationale behind the hashtag I think this is the first time I've had to answer this question, actually, so this is definitely a front of the line podcast exclusive.
Nice.
So I came up with the hashtag because I've spent I'm really only about a year or two into being serious about being an artist myself. Before that, I was working pretty much just as like a full-time touring musician. I was touring and doing spot dates with several like pretty well-known national artists. And over time, you know, I, you know, shined in my various roles with these various people in such a way that sometimes, you know, after the shows and stuff, people would ask like, well, who are you? You know, what's your thing? You know, and I've been, you know, doing gigs around the city for a long time, know a lot of people. And it's a common thing that every now and then I would like hear, you know, somebody like asking about me, like over here, like I'd literally actually be in the room. And somebody, like, I'd come up in a conversation and somebody'd be like, yo, who is this Micah Robinson cat? You know what I'm saying? And so I put my personal experience with that together with, gonna tell on myself here, I really watched the branding track of the group King. Not sure if everybody knows who they are, but check them out when you can, King. A few years ago, they pretty much put themselves on the map using this whole idea of almost like intentional anonymity, where the movement around them was almost based on the fact that you didn't quite know who they were. And then when you found out, it was like, oh, I'm in the cool kids club now. You know, like when somebody put you on the King, they felt cool doing it, and then you felt cool now that you know, and like you wanted to tell somebody else. But even when you told people, it was like you were telling a secret. It's like, yo, you ain't heard of this one. Like, check this out. You're never going to believe who this is. And then you drop the record, and the record's amazing, and it's like, oh, man, you know. So it was this really cool sort of movement where the growth of their exposure was actually based on the idea that there was some sort of like exclusivity or mystery around who they were. And so I watched that and I paid attention to that, and I thought it was like really effective. So I thought some version of that might work for me too, you know. So between that literally kind of being my experience of being, you know, on so many stages, just being the guy to the left of the guy everybody's paying attention to, or, you know, the guy back in the pit for the guy everybody's paying attention to, you know, watching their path, and Who is Micah Robinson was born.
Right. I'm sure it's also a product too in that of the sort of breadth of the musical variety that you can play and that you're interested in, and that is demonstrated on your EP.
Yeah, that's a big part of it too. And it's not, obviously I used my own name because I'm promoting myself, but I think it's probably true of most kind of independent or starting out artists, where you're very frequently asked to answer the question, well, who are you? What do you do?
Yep.
Why should I care what your name is? What box can I put you in?
Yep.
And I think I basically just chose to sort of tongue-in-cheek get out in front of that question, as opposed to having it being shoved in my face. I'd shove it in my own face and then everybody else's, so that I could sort of preempt the idea that the answer to the question only comes from actually kind of joining me on my journey, following me on social media, coming to the shows, checking out the music, and letting the art answer the question. But I feel like me posing the question put me in position to be able to answer it myself, not with a single statement, but with constant presentation of who I am. So
it's very smart. I ran into this quite often as I was trying to craft my press release for my record. I'm like,
I'm sure.
Is it jazz? I don't want to call it jazz because then people won't like it.
Because then the people who don't like jazz will be like, jazz,
but it's
jazz.
Like not rock and roll. It's not quite.
No.
It's not quite that. It's sort of a lot of a few things.
Yeah.
Or a little of a lot of things, rather.
Yeah. I mean, we all are, though,
Yeah.
Like, separate from music, just as people. Like, nobody's, and I think I say this in one of my songs. It's part of the explanation of the whole thing of just like, we're not just one thing, so why do we feel like our art has to be? Not just music, but period, I understand classifications, are better for consumers and all of that. So I'm not like anti-classification or anything. But I just feel like we should be able to be continuous with our classifications. Like, people are creating new things, so maybe we need new names for stuff. I'm not saying you can't give it a name, but I am saying, like, the R&B radio stations tell me I'm not R&B. So, like, they won't play my stuff because they said it's not R&B enough.
Right. Huh.
So then when people, try to say, well, why don't you just say you're R&B? Why are you being so artsy? I'm like, I'm not being artsy. I'm not R&B. But I'm also not really jazz. Just as you have your record, it spans across. It kind of comes primarily out of like a jazz bag, but it doesn't stay there.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of other stuff in it.
Mm-hmm.
So I just feel like, we need to be a little more progressive with our labels. We can have labels, but maybe let's make some new ones. Like, let's call your music like the Jack Kilby vibe.
Right, yeah. One day.
Why not?
Wouldn't that be wild?
And then the next time somebody makes a record that sounds kind of like yours, it's like, oh, yeah, man, he's doing that Jack Kilby thing.
Or, when they say, like, oh, we'll do it in the Miles key, or do it the way Miles does it. Like, we're going to do it the way Micah does it.
Who's to say that,
Jack does it.
Who's to say that can't be you?
Yeah, for sure. Certainly.
I believe it can.
Thanks, man. And the belief of people like yourself and everybody else that I've interviewed so far and everybody that's on this record has been truly instrumental, shall I say? I don't know. I need to have, I'm realizing now I need to have, as this podcast develops, my buttons on the side of like claps, the womp womp button,
yeah, have
I mean.
Oh, man.
I got to get something like that.
Yeah.
I
if
do
your
have a
drums
bullhorn.
weren't all set up, I'd go like grab a cymbal real quick.
Right. Lord knows we've got some to spare of those around here. Well, again, and before we go, please tell everybody where they can find your music on the medias of the various sorts. So pull out your notepad where you've got the whole laundry list of
the business spiel.
Right, give them the business spiel.
Okay, so assuming you're still listening at this point and I have not bored you to tears and you actually are interested in following me.
We're interested. We're so interested. We're so interested. Yeah.
Oh my God, I love you. Plot twist. I'm not going to talk about myself yet. As we exit, I want to make sure that I take this opportunity to highlight my good brother, Mr. Kilby, and everything that he's doing. He's an awesome guy, just as a guy in general. And if for no other reason, I think it's cool to have the opportunity to be supportive of good people. We live in a time where a lot of people, frankly, just aren't that nice anymore. It's not like cool to be nice or to show love in a lot of places. Clapbacks get a lot more attention than love does. And that being the case, I think it's really worth acknowledging when you run into people who live with love And I think it's really special, and I think they should be greatly supported. So I just want to, first of all, thank Jack for allowing me to be a part of his project, also for allowing me to be a part of this podcast. I want to encourage everybody listening to not just stop at the podcast. Odds are, if you're listening to this, you probably already follow Jack. But if you don't, go follow him now. Go get the record now. You know, don't just enjoy it. Share it. Repost. Sharing is caring. That's a real thing. It's a great and very well appreciated step for you to purchase the music, for you to stream the music. But the thing that really helps get Jack to where we all believe he should be is if you continue to share both verbally and on your various social medias and all that kind of stuff. So you can find Jack at Crab Shack Music. You can also find at Jack Kilby in the Front Line. I believe he also has a personal page called at Jack Kilby Music. Yes, I know I was supposed to be talking about myself, but I thought this was more important. Now, regarding myself, I'll be quick. If anything I've said has led you to want to know more about me, you can follow me at Micah D.E. Robinson. That's MICAHDEROBINSON on all social media outlets. So that's Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Same tag on all of them, Micah D.E. Robinson. Also, I have a website, MicahRobinsonMusic.com, where you can find that social media information and any other information you want, like bio, links to my music, pictures, how to get in contact with me if you want to book me for something or whatever it is. So it's all there on one of those like 5 places, at Micah D.E. Robinson or MicahRobinsonMusic.com. Check out my stuff. I hope you dig it. It's been an honor to have your time and attention. God loves you, and so do I. Peace.
Beautiful. Thanks, Micah. You've been at the front of the line, and thanks to Tomas at Tomasian Entertainment for producing this podcast. We'll see you next time.
Thank you, Tomas.
Love is a song that anyone can sing, no matter what happens around it, no matter what life brings. I'd love it if you sing with me, but whether you do or not, this song was meant to be shared. This song cannot be stopped, and it goes
Keyboard Cat, Hamilton the Pug, and Toast Meets World. These are some of the internet's most beloved pets. With millions of YouTube views, shares, Instagram likes, followers, and fans across the globe. But what do all these amazing pets have in common? Their stories started in a shelter. Start your story. Adopt a dog or cat today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a shelter or adoptable pets near you. Training that pet to play the keyboard? Well, that's entirely up to you. Visit theshelterpetproject.org and hear more about Hamilton the Pug, Toast, and Keyboard Cat's amazing adoption stories. Start a story. Adopt a shelter or rescue pet today. Your perfect pet is just a click away at theshelterpetproject.org. A public service announcement brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
Jack Kilby and the Frontline's debut release, Love Is a Song Anyone Can Sing, Volume 1, is available now at all your favorite online music retailers, as well as streaming services.